everyone, I'm Akanksha from the Department of Media Studies, Alliance University, and this is the special coverage of the IB Conclave 2026 organized by the International Business Club. This conclave brought together industry leaders, academicians, and business thinkers to discuss how technology, leadership, and decision making are shaping the future of business. From innovation, artificial intelligence to real world strategy for succeeding business, this platform is all about conversations that matter, especially for the leaders of tomorrow. Let's begin with our keynote speaker and chief guest, Sri Chandrakant B.N., founder and chairman of Ferrer Group and president of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, South India Regional Council, who set the tone for this conclave.
AI is here to stay. It's the scariest thing ever. It may take away a few jobs, create new jobs, but like every invention and every creation, I've seen many over the years, which have, when they came, caused a lot of stress and concern, but it also created new jobs, new opportunities, made our lives more efficient, and created a lot more opportunities and made everything so efficient so we could focus on other things. Having said that, AI apparently is the most feared technology ever, which is among all the revolutions that we've had. About 40% of the investments in the US are going towards AI. So we just hope that it's not another big bubble that's going to burst. So therefore, the humanness and the human intelligence will remain important and intact.
In his interaction, he shared powerful insights on how AI is influencing hiring and strategic decisions, the importance of human responsibility alongside data driven systems, and why students today must embrace thoughtful risk taking to stay relevant in fast changing economy. He also spoke about whether organizations are adopting AI out of strategy or fear and how businesses, especially media corporations, must balance attention, ethics, and accountability in the digital age. Let's hear from him.
As AI begins to influence hiring evaluation and strategic decisions, where do you personally draw the line between data driven efficiency and human responsibility?
For me, I think end of the day, any technology is there to serve the humans. I mean, we are there. We leverage technology for our benefit. Technology will never take over humans, or I hope it doesn't. If it does, it will be a strange world that we're going to live in. So, leveraging AI responsibly is something that is imperant. So therefore, I think humans should leverage it responsibly, and humans should use it to the extent that it is helping us or enhancing the way we live and the way we operate, rather than letting it rule us. In this dynamically changing world, which is moved away from globalization and collaboration, etc., it is even more important, especially for Indian young students and young leaders, to take more risks, look at Indian solutions for Indian problems, and how can we contribute to India's growth.
Do you think businesses are adopting AI out of genuine strategy or because of the fear of being left behind?
I think it's a bit of both. I see some companies doing it as a strategy. I see a lot of people doing it because they feel they're being left out. So that's dangerous. When you start investing in something just because of the FOMO effect, then it creates a bubble, and the bubble is going to burst at some point. But there are a lot of people who are genuinely creating good products, and it is definitely impacting our lives. AI is here to stay. AI is important, but I think we have to be careful again. I think that people who are doing it just because they have fear of being left out, I think it's very dangerous.
Those insights clearly highlight the need for ethical leadership and conscious innovation in today's business landscape. Moving ahead, we also had enriching conversations with the panelists who brought in perspective from startup, enterprise environments, and global organizations. We begin with Sri Ram Mohan Pratapa, director at Agnit Cognitive Solutions. Drawing from his experience across startup and large enterprises, he spoke about how each environment shaped leadership differently. He also reflected on instances where technically strong products fail due to pure communication or adoption, and shared what he would do differently if he was starting his career today. Here's what he had to say.
Startup environments and large corporations. What did each one teach you that the other didn't?
So I started my career with a corporate company. So like with most of the corporates, you would see that in corporates there are very well-defined structures already in place because they would have gone through the pains of establishing those structures, etc. Right? So if you take horizontal functions like HR, sales, finance, legal, etc., or it could sales, marketing, research and development, product development, etc. So there are very well-defined roles depending on what your background is. So I'm a IT computer graduate by training. I did my master's in computer applications. So I was obviously into the product development side. So there you would not know what was happening on the sales side of the organization. You would not have much visibility into what's happening on the marketing side of the organization. How do you sell to a customer? So you are supposed to focus on one particular role and do it well. In a startup company, it's exactly the opposite, because you wouldn't have the luxury of having so many departments, so many people and all of that. You are starting off very fresh. So one would have to dabble into all the aspects of, okay, right from how do you get internet connection into your startup, and where would you find workers to make sure that the company is clean, right? To how do you sell to customers, how do you build products. So one has to dabble into everything. So that gives you a 360-degree appreciation of what it means to start a company and build a company. The number one reason, in fact, I'm not making up these numbers. There's a research done why startup companies fail and why products fail. The number one reason is lack of product market fit, which means the product that you come up with is something that you may love it dearly, but the market doesn't need it, or the market doesn't see a problem big enough yet to pay for the product. I'll give you one example. In Bangalore around 2018, there was a startup company that started called Dinner, DINNR. You know what they did? You could go to their website and say that today I feel like having pasta, or I feel like having some spinach soup. Once you select those things, they would ship the ingredients to your house. Not the actual food item, but the ingredients. All cut, polished, everything. All you have to do is light the stove and use salt, pepper and oil. And the founders felt that was a great idea, because in cooking they felt that a lot of time is wasted in terms of preparing for the actual cooking as opposed to the cooking itself. They felt it was a great idea. People didn't think so. So mostly it's about whether you have done enough market research, and if there are people or users or customers, because ultimately they are the ones who is going to pay you, right? Whether they feel the need for the problem and the solution is number one reason. Number two is, of course, the funding issues. Most of the times when startups don't start with enough capital, etc., then at some point in time, because you of course need that fuel to keep you running, at some point in time you will run out of that fuel also, right? So these are the two top reasons, I would say. If you don't love the problem statement, you would wrongly fall in love with the product. And once you fall in love with the product, then you will lose track of the problem where you started, and you could go in any direction. If I start my career today, I would learn the business skills. In my career, when I started my career, I focused more on learning to code, learning the technology aspects of it. I spent most of the time doing those things because that was my passion at that time. But very soon you would realize that after a few years, especially in the context of Indian IT industry, after a few years, one has to have that business acumen also. How do you sell? How do you pitch your idea to a customer? How do you convince people? But those are some of the things I would focus on now. Because learning technology with the help of AI and all these things, it has become pretty much easy. The entry barrier is very low. But with this business acumen and learning to work in a team environment, AI can't teach you. That is something you have to cultivate it. So I would say.
Next, we have Sri Harsha MC, a business strategy and GIM expert. He addressed the crucial question for new businesses: what should not be automated in the first year, emphasizing the importance of human judgment in early decision making. He also reflected on leadership principles and how they are tested during real-world crises. Let's hear from him.
Advising a business startup today, like if they're just gonna do the startup, what is the one thing they should not automate in their first year?
So I think what they should not automate in the first year is primarily around customer feedback. It's important that you stay connected to the customers, hear what they're saying. There is an underlying theme of what they're trying to communicate to you, which is just not through text or words. if you probably automate the feedback process, then it becomes a little bit monotonous or through a machine to learn and understand what your customers are saying. You could do it at a different scale of your journey, but because the question is more pertinent towards the first year, I wouldn't encourage startups to automate their customer feedback loop. Customers generally try to communicate to you, both good and bad, in two forms, right? One is what they're trying to say to you in a very professional, structured environment through written communications or something which you talk to them and get to know or understand. But when you make it personal is when they open up and say the truth of why they really think that the product worked for them, or the solution worked for them, or the product didn't work for them. That emotion is something as founders they should stay connected to in the first year. I think all the leadership principles are amazing. What gets a little challenging though is frugality, because being frugal and yet being productive are two different things. If you don't take it in the right connotation of what the real original thought of how and why they wanted to be frugal, it could also lead to us being uh, us not being empathetic towards understanding the situation on hand. If you're always trying to cut short things and make it operate with small expenses or small time and whatnot, it doesn't give you the necessary results. At times, you might need to think about judging the situation beyond just one value system of it. And that's why the beauty of AWS is it's got 15 plus of them. So you could probably manage one and say, here's where I would use frugality in this extent, but now I would probably flip to something else and take ownership and solve this myself. Right? You have to complement the skill set. So that's why AWS has just not one or two of these. These are a plethora of them. You've got to use it in a situation, and probably you use multiple of them in every situation as well. So it's difficult to be frugal and yet productive, but you got to complement that in real life.
Next, we turn our focus to how generative AI is reshaping the media landscape, from the way content is created to how business operate and scale. To explore this, we spoke with Sri Devdas Rajaram, our assistant professor at the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, Alliance University, whose work and experience closely engage with technology, media, and emerging AI-driven practices. In this interaction, he shares his perspective on how generative AI is transforming the media industry, the key challenges business face while integrating AI into existing workflows, and offers valuable advice to young professionals and entrepreneurs, especially those aspiring to build media startups in today's fast evolving digital ecosystem. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
With your experience with Gen AI or generative AI in general, how do you think Gen AI is going to help to transform the media industry?
Gen AI can transform media industry in more than one ways. That is, fundamentally, this can help in pre-production and prediction and post-production and marketing process. So the four-step process involved in creating content in media content creation. So starting with prediction, this can actually save a lot of time and money by way of say automating the storyboarding process and the casting process, the scheduling process, and during prediction also it can actually select save time and resources by suggesting, with the Gen AI can suggest camera angles, even the shooting sequences and so forth. And post prediction, when it comes to post prediction, it's all about saving money and time and resources by just suggesting editing ideas and including extending scenes and generative extensions, and it can save time and energies, time and resources in more than one, in a lot of ways. So it's actually what Gen AI does to media industries in content creation is it just augments our potential and creativity. Existing businesses, most of the underline, most of the existing business workflows are not designed to for technology like for a transformational technology like Gen AI. So in order to get the optimal results, what we need to do is to actually we have to redesign the existing workflows. And second, another challenge we face in the industry is lack of awareness, proper awareness about Gen AI. Either people are super scared about Gen AI, or whether it's going to take away our jobs or it's going to actually disrupt a lot of existing workflows. And second is whether we are capable of doing this, introducing this. We got to find a middle ground for that, and in order to be able to do that, we got to redesign our existing workflows before we introduce Gen AI into the existing workflows. It's all about audience first. Who are going to be your consumers, the content consumers, and they are most important. It's about putting the user at the center of your planning. So without user, you don't exist. User means audience. So no matter what kind of industry you get in, what kind of what format you're thinking of getting into in the media industry, think of the audience first. Don't resist the technology, embrace it, but always take the technology is not the it's not it's not going to solve all your problems. It's going to be a fine blend. How do you blend technology with your creativity, and that is going to provide you the solution in the media industry. It's not it's going to be a fine blend and balancing act. Always take technology with not a pinch of salt but a ton of salt.
The IB Conclave 2026 reminded us that while technology evolves rapidly, leadership, responsibility, and clarity of purpose remain timeless. With that, we wrap up the highlights from the International Business Conclave, Alliance University. Thank you.